Yeah, and that's the thing about the Marines. It's the smallest branch in the military, has the longest boot camp
Yeah.
of all branches. It's by far the hardest basic training.
Yeah.
Then there's elite like Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
And we wanted them to see as a metaphor because I was reading like a statistic like you're more likely to get struck by lightning 3 times instead of going to the NBA or something crazy like that. So when you peel back, you see that a lot of the war fighting is for business interests. A funny story: one time, Bush was in Brussels when I was stationed in Switzerland, and they put me on his team.
I really learned that absolute security is an illusion. ABG, new episode, finally encounter with a brother from another mother. Welcome, Dave. How are you doing, man?
Man, I'm just happy to be here.
So happy for you to be here, dude.
Absolutely.
Dude.
Absolutely.
So finally it's happening.
So we talked about this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we were just saying how this needs to be documented. So I remember the day so clearly. You came over to the American school. And it was September 10th,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, September 10th, 2012. And you came over and we were, it was like after school, we were discussing ideas about, because a podcast was a new thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
People
like,
don't know that there wasn't a lot of podcasts. I think the most famous who had the tractions was actually Joe Rogan.
Yeah, exactly. So podcast was like kind of a novel thing. And the reason why I even heard about podcasts, because the kids at the American school, they were getting into it. And I was like, oh, what is this podcast? I thought it was like, whatever, kid stuff. But then we saw it was blowing up and we're like, hey, why don't we, we sit, because we have conversations.
Exactly.
I met you through Tai Chi. And something that I've carried with me, because that's why I think I've never stopped talking to you, because I do Tai Chi every day because of you. So I always have that in mind. But yeah, we were talking about, having a podcast, talking about things from expats to security to, travel, and just kind of brainstorming. We're like, all right, we're going to do the first one tomorrow. Well, September 14th happened.
Boom!
Oh, man. So, everybody knows what happened that day.
Exactly.
Massive protest and, the big incident at the American Embassy. But then, the focus, so the protest itself was directed at the American Embassy, but it got out of hand.
The backlash,
and they turned at the school. And then the group of rioters targeted my office because it had a big sign that said security.
Exactly. I was just like, damn. So, and you called me. You just said, Ariel, I don't think we're
going to do the podcast. So my office was burned and the world changed. Yeah. So that's why I said, let's be careful with this podcast.
Exactly. We don't know. Too much energy. Too much energy.
Yeah.
We were able to break the matrix.
But I appreciate you,
Okay, that's great. So, dude, I really wanted the world to know you and the viewers actually to know you. And one thing they don't know about you, actually, you have been a Marine. So, dude, you have done so many stuff actually in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so how the path for the Marines life actually happened?
So, and it's funny because it all started here in Tunis, my international kind of stint. So, I was a kid in Queens, New York, growing up, and trying to find my way. And then I found so I had this job I was working in Wall Street, internship, going to school and going to Wall Street, and just kind of finding my way in life.
Yeah.
And I read this book called My American Journey by Colin Powell. So he talks about how he joined the military and found a career. And I thought, okay, this guy I have a lot in common. He's an immigrant. My parents immigrated to the United States from the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
So his parents immigrated from Jamaica, so Caribbean. And he found the military as a way to, make progress and have a career. So I kind of I saw that as a model.
Yeah.
Because that's, in life, you kind of look out for blueprints and models. So I saw that as a model and I kind of latched onto it. I was like, man, this is something else. So I go to the recruiter in the States, I go to the recruiter and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to talk to the Army guy. But then I saw the Marines. I saw the uniform. I was like, man.
That's dope.
I said, these guys look sharp. So the thing that caught my eyes about the Marines, I walked up to him and I said, hey, I'm here waiting for the Army recruiter's late.
Yeah.
Already, I'm like, hey, the Army recruiter's late. I mean, this is, So I started talking to the Marine recruiter. He's like, well, we got to see if you can be one of us. And I was like, oh, if I can, you see, like the army saying, come.
Exactly.
These guys saying, we got to see if you could be one. So that caught my attention already. And then, I joined the Marines. I didn't know what I was getting into, man. To the day I arrived in Paris Island, where they do the basic training, still didn't know what they were doing. And, until the drill instructor screaming in my face, I was like, okay, this is serious. Let me, So I joined the Marines, but I'm from New York City, so I joined the Marines, and they stick me into this air wing in North Carolina. So I'm like, I didn't join the Marines to be in this hillbilly town. I want to see the world. So then I had a mentor, my gunnery sergeant. He's like, man, you need to travel, man. You need to join the embassy program. So that's why I signed up for the embassy program. And it's funny because I had my girlfriend at the time. She's like, wait a minute, let me get this straight. So you joined the Marines, which is already crazy. And then in the Marines, you want to join another elite group within it. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I want to do it. So they sent my first post. They said, hey, the sergeant says, hey, get up. He tells you where you're going. He's like, hey, you're going to Tunisia. I've never heard of Tunisia in my life. So I go to the library to read the post report, and I look up Tanzania. So I looked the year previous, there was an embassy bombing there. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to die. This is... It says, so then somebody's like, no, it's Tunisia. And man, I tell you, for the moment I got here, I felt like there was a connection. Like the smell, the jasmine smell, the people were warm, and and that was my first post in the Marines was here, and it was before the embassy is at its current location. Yeah, it was actually here downtown. It was
really?
Yeah, it was in Lafayette Avenue. So yeah, it was like a house that was converted. It was old school.
Yeah, always like most of them actually. I don't know, like most of the embassies, they are just like
like big houses. Sometimes even the ambassador would live or within the compound and so forth. So so it was I was fortunate because we were a close knit group, and then 9/11 happened, which also impacted my story a lot, because so when 9/11 happened, we were going to have a big Marine Corps ball at the Sheraton. It's a big event. A lot of people come, dignitaries and so forth. And because of 9/11, we had it at the ambassador's house in City Boo. Yeah. So we had it there. So it was a smaller venue. And that's where I met my wife. I met my wife there. The DJ didn't show up. And they were like, hey, Santiago, you're good with music. You're going to be the DJ for... So I was playing music. My wife was lost in the ambassador's residence. And I was like, hey, let me help you, And so we started talking. And, the rest is history.
Yeah.
But, and then from here, I served here for 2 years as a Marine. Then I went to Switzerland. So I went to... And I got to explore Europe a little bit. And then I went back to the States, and so that was pretty much my Marine stint, And when I went back to the States in Quantico, Virginia, did a little bit more training, and then I got out of the Marines. I worked with juvenile court for a while in the States. My wife got pregnant, and we were like, we missed family, community. In the States,
that's different.
Man, it's all work. It's work and very little community. So we were like, let's give Tunis a try again. So we come back to Tunis, and then that's when I got hired at the American school as a security. They were like, wait a minute, weren't you a Marine here? and so they were looking for a security director. I got the position, and it was from scratch. They didn't have a security program. So I got the opportunity to build a program.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and it was just like, I think when I met you, I was in year 3 of doing that. I was pretty new into the whole... Because it was still, security was a subsection within the business office.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
I remember you had like a thick CV, and you had all these certificates. Exactly. And I was like, man, this guy, I don't know how I'm gonna work with this guy, but I gotta work with this guy, because I was looking for orientation, people that can help me put together a program. Yeah. And remember, we did self-defense. Yeah. We helped the guards with having guard school, and that's how we built a program it was all leading us to that day, the September 14th event, because that day our response was amazing. We were able to evacuate the school, no harm. I mean,
that was impressive.
We had a tight-knit security team. and even like information was not readily available. It was hard to find out what was going on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, like the Marines has always followed me because once you're a Marine, they always label
Marines,
you.
yes.
But you learn a lot. You grow as a person too.
Yeah.
I was fortunate not to be in combat. That really scars people for life. I was fortunate to. Because the embassy program is one of the elite programs within the Marines, and it's probably one of the, let's say, more fortunate because you're working with the State Department, you're really traveling. Close, yes. So I was so blessed, man, from that experience.
Yeah, and so we know that actually in let's say in the Marines training you have the Hell Week. So you went through that, and how did you feel around that kind of?
Well, okay, so we don't have Hell Week is a Navy SEAL thing.
Yeah.
What we have is called a Crucible.
Okay.
Oh man, this is it's interesting. You were gonna say?
Yeah, no, the drive was too.
Yeah. It's interesting because I saw that they make studies that even through basic training as a Marine, your brain changes. Okay. Like you psychologically change.
Yeah.
So in the Marines, what they do is like they break you down. Like you can no longer say I, for example. You have to say this, like this recruit.
Yeah.
You can't refer to yourself as I. Everything is yes sir, no, like that. Everything's on command. Even like from the moment you wake up, it's countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, boom. From the moment you go to sleep. And then that culminates so you go through like basically 3 major events. One of them being gas chamber training. So you build up, they build you up a little bit, and you do this event where they put you in a room just about the size of this, and you put on a gas mask. They throw gas, and you have to perform. You have to stay calm. So you pass that. Then they have a section where you have to climb 50-foot tower. And, you have a swim. The hardest part for me was swimming. Because my parents are Dominican, but I grew up in New York.
Yeah.
We have a pool. We didn't go to the beach or nothing, so I had to. So it was like swimming with a pack, survival. So that was incredibly hard for me. So you have that. So it sort of builds up, and then we have what's called the Crucible. This is the moment you become a Marine. So what it is 3 days of war fighting. It's like a blur. You get one meal. You and your I guess you could call it buddy in one a fighting hole, and you got to survive. There's a lot of things involved. You march. You do this huge hike. It's mostly mental, but it culminates with an event where you have to do this long hike. You see all the streets where the Marines participated in war fighting. And then, you see like a first sergeant or a sergeant major, and he's like sort of like on the top of a hill. And then he's like, he addresses you as a Marine after like you went through 3 months of pure
3 months.
Hell. Yeah. And that's the thing about the Marines. It's the smallest branch in the military, has the longest boot camp of all branches. It's by far the hardest basic training.
Yeah.
Then there's elite like Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
I knew that the Marines were different because when we were so there's a place where all the Marines all military gather before they ship them out, and it's called the MEPS. And as you see people with suitcases, people with backpacks, people calm, and then you see like a couple of people like nervous with like a little book of pictures, and it's like those are the Marines. Like, you don't get to take anything, and it's gonna be long and it's gonna be hard. But then so after you finish that basic training, you go and you complete the Crucible. You get the title of Marine. You go to most Marines go to another warfighting training in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, which is probably harder than the basic training.
Okay.
And so it's just training. It's sort of build up. And then you get some kind of event, whether it's like a training. And then you go to your unit, And so for me, I got stationed in North Carolina, like I was telling you, at an air wing where, I was part of this air wing as a supply. And, that was my primary job was like supplies. Because that's another thing. People think like Marines are all like killers, and
Yeah, exactly.
there's a lot of things. There's cooks, there's supply, there's transportation, there's a whole bunch of stuff, you know. And then from there, you could decide to do something elite, like become a drill instructor. The people that train Marines.
Yeah.
You could be Force Recon, which are like the Navy SEALs and Marines. You know, you could be on the White House. You know, for the presidential security, and or you could be an embassy Marine. So those are sort of the more elite billets you could get.
And I know that you actually, what you told me is actually the opposite of what people think. The Marines are in charge of, not in charge of the people, they're in charge of the I would like to say that not documents, but the hardware.
The Marines at the embassy in charge of classified.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the number one thing: classified materials and the property of the embassy. And the people are like, you know, if we have to. But primarily, it's that. It's sort of like, you know, to keep the embassy staff in check, and you know, as far as like leaving documents out and you know that sort of kind of mundane thing. You know, access control.
Yeah.
Checking badges.
Exactly.
A lot of mundane things, you know, like in Switzerland, it was funny because the ambassador, every morning he'd come in, he like salutes the Marine, he has his badge. So it's like you get different staff, how they, so, you know, some people like security.
Yeah.
Some people think it's a waste of time. So you kind of get that spectrum, you know. So you have people that support us, that don't. Man, but you know, talking about the Marines, I feel like that was a lifetime ago.
Exactly. So that's why I say, like, what do you miss those days sometime, or what's your feeling about that?
Man, that's a tough question. I mean, I definitely don't miss basic training or none of that stuff. If a Marine says I miss, they probably not. They probably didn't do it. But I miss the camaraderie. I miss you know, like
the brotherhood.
Exactly. Like here in Tunis, we were five of us. You know, you got five young men. We have we have your own bar. You have your own, you have your own sort of unity there.
Yeah.
And so I miss that. And you know that they got your back 100%, and you become brothers.
Yeah.
So that transition from the military to the civilian world is really hard because, you know, in the court, for example, where one of my previous jobs now was with corporate security. And, you know, it's all about reports and bottom line and politics, no camaraderie. Yeah. So I miss that about the military. Also, you know how we talk about motivation, and, you know, motivation is something like to keep you.
Yes,
in the Marines, you're going to stay focused. Like, they're going to make you. That's, you know, the things we do is because we want to do it. And we, you know, either inspired to do it or we're motivated to do it. But you don't have to do it. In the Marines, you got to do it. So I kind of miss that part. But, you know, the world now is so upside down, especially in the military side. That, you know, I recently read a book called War is a Racket by Smedley Butler.
Okay.
So this was a very decorated Marine. He wrote this book in the 30s, I think. Yeah, in the 1930s. And it's a very small book. But he talks about how, you know, he's a highly decorated Marine. He served like in 3 wars. He got all kinds of medals. And he explains, you know, how he felt used in a way, because when you peel back, you see that a lot of the war fighting is for business interests.
Yeah.
So I think that what appeals to people like me, you know, I'm in Aries. I am kind of drawn to, I don't know, like strategy and being a warrior. That's what I. So people that are drawn to that, we want to be the good guys. We want to be the superheroes. So you kind of peel back a little, and you're like, I don't know if are we the good guys? So I'm glad that, you know, and it's also a tough place to raise your family.
Yeah.
You know, the military. But I'm glad, you know, I would never have met people like you if I would have stayed in Queens, New York.
Exactly. So one thing people don't know about you is actually that you are extremely curious. Actually, you have curiosity. You read a lot, and I even think that you have a gift to know exactly ways. Maybe you need to invest in lottery ticket because many things you predicted to me at the time, did happen. Like if you do remember, you were the one you were the one person who told me, you know what, Ariel, I think the field where you are, it's going to be extremely productive in your future. And you sent me an article about actually coaching, where actually only few people know about coaching. People know about actually people like Tony Robbins and whatever,
right?
But not really about a lot of people. And then after, boom, coaching became so big. And also you introduced me to Cat Williams at the time. I remember, and then I remember we saw actually one time we
shout out to Cat Williams.
Exactly, we had a whole night. You, me, what was the guy from New York? There was Campbell, and the guy from New York.
The guy from
his wife worked. No.
Johnny.
Johnny. So we had a whole
shout
night.
Out to Johnny Spicer as well.
We had a whole night actually watching Cat Williams. No.
And he wasn't as big as he is now.
He wasn't that big.
Yeah.
And then after he blew up, and now she's like, damn, did David talking about this? So you introduced me to him. Also George Carlin. And all those people, like look at now, like people for when people talk about George Carlin, they are just the best of the best. Also, you introduced me to Joe Rogan. And
before he was
exactly before he was actually okay. The Ariel just have a look on this guy, check this out. And then I started to follow Joe Rogan at that moment, and then now look. So that's why I think like you have a gift about actually knowing,
being curious.
Yeah, exactly. And I think maybe that's also comes from basketball, because you have to predict where the ball is going.
Yeah, you always know how to tie these things.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to predict where the ball is going. So
one time I saw, I don't know if you're into numerology. Somebody said, "Hey, what's your birthday?" And they said I was a life path 7. So they say life path 7s are very like in their brains, and curious. So I always been, and growing up in New York, it's crazy because New York is like a university of curiosity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you grew up in New York, it's really hard for you to get impressed by like going to another city, because it's like,
you have everything there.
It's like everything. And then Queens, within New York, is the most diverse borough in the world. Wow. Like you have the whole world in that little town. Well, it's not a little town, but I mean, like it's one of 5 boroughs that make up New York City.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. Like I've always been curious, I always felt like, hey, there's, you could teach yourself. For when I went through public school in New York, and I remember a teacher, I forgot what grade, it was like early high school, or maybe junior high school, and she literally told us to copy a book. Like we were copying a book. And I was like, copy? So, I pulled her aside and I was like, hey, why do this class is English literature. Like there's so much that we could learn and read. And she looked at me like, oh, this one is awake. So she told me, she said, you know what, Dave, you're a fish out of water. That's what you are. And I was like, yeah, okay, thank you. So I kind of, it started for me I try to hack things, you know what I mean? Like, so that's why I'm always looking at what's trending, what's new. Even like today, like, with my daughter, my daughters, I try to see what are they looking at? What are they into? Because they're usually the futurists. They know what's coming up next.
Exactly.
Like applications like TikTok and stuff like that. So I try to stay ahead of that, or just in tune with it, and then trust my intuition.
Yeah.
And then that meet with people, because like if somebody, I was in security, you were coming as a coach, and so forth. It'd be like, oh, where do our interests meet? But you feel the energy.
Exactly.
And so I follow my intuition. I'm like, hey, I could link up. So
yeah, exactly. And I also think that you have a great gift about actually human relationship. Maybe it also comes from your Puerto Rican, Dominican actually background. Because I see even in the school, like a lot of people, the way the kids actually connected actually to you, the way they felt trust. They felt trust. They felt that you were someone they can turn to, and also a lot of reassurance. Because even after you left, I talked with a lot of colleagues, and they were just like, "Damn, David energy. That was something else. And I think after the school felt a little bit lost. Like people didn't know what the hell they were going on.
It's because I just went to the last staff party and I heard some comments like that too. Just about how things changed and and I stay in touch with a lot of the basketball players. From ACC. They're all grown now.
Yeah, exactly. And many of them, I feel that there was a lot of stuff that you passed on to them that they kept for life. Because I know, and even those that are not in the school now, and they are so different. Josh, or where's the tall guy from Poland?
From Jan.
Yeah.
Yes.
So shout out to him.
Remember,
that was like completely different. And
man,
also the way parents also trust you. Because we had this guy, actually, BK.
BK.
Oh, and I do remember the day he had the click. The day he had the click and he became something else.
Yeah, you could see that's the magic of coaching. You see them transform in different stages. And we tried different things that, with basketball. Because we wanted them to see it as a metaphor. Because, I was reading like a statistic, like, you're more likely to get struck by lightning 3 times. Instead of going to the NBA or something crazy like that. So obviously, most people are not going to the NBA or even like, forget the NBA, just like playing at a high level of college. So you want them to get something from it that they could use in their day-to-day life. And I miss that a lot, man, coaching. We had an opportunity with them here. Like I did it for like 10 years. So it was a part of my life and so many kids, so many stories and you were part of most of it.
And even the perspective we gave them about basketball was so different.
Yes.
So different. Because it wasn't just another activity. It was really a moment where they knew they were going to be influenced, inspired, and access to a different plan of life.
Right.
I think that was really, really, really special and really different.
And I still hear from them about things like that, about, they'll make like a little, they'll say things like quotes we were telling them, like about the yin yang, about positive and negative, about using people's energy. The free throw, for example, how when you step up to the free throw, it's really like that's where your confidence ends. Your training is on full display. How everything slows down and you got to center yourself. You could use that for anything. You could use that for a meeting, a presentation, a proposal, whatever. About centering yourself, focusing, and following through, So, I think we touched some lives.
Exactly. And I know you were also a big fan of Kobe. So, what do you feel?
A Mamba.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, you don't know how much I cried that day, man.
Dude, that was I think that was one of the rare person that when he passed away, dude, it hit me hard. Even my mom called me. I was just like
he's your brother.
He was my brother. My mom called me, Ari, are you okay? I said, what? I was just like, but no, it really touched me.
Oh, man. Especially, the circumstance.
Exactly.
And with his daughter.
Exactly.
There's just layers of pain there. And then in a crazy way, it sort of like unveiled the whole crazy COVID stuff.
Yeah.
Which, it just kind of like, right? Because it happened and then it felt like the whole world went upside down after that.
Yes,
so exactly. it was like a I don't know, like foreshadowing, like something really big is going to happen. But I mean, I drew so much from Kobe because Kobe, he incorporated a lot of stuff like Bruce Lee, for example.
Yeah, and funny things, I knew that from you because I didn't know the connection between actually Bruce Lee and the Black Mamba.
He took his philosophy about looking at different disciplines and incorporating into his game, like fencing. Bruce Lee took stuff from fencing. He took stuff from even dancing.
Exactly.
And how does it apply to his game? So he always he looked at a spectrum and said, okay, I'm a basketball player, but I can take from this discipline, I can take from this discipline, and I can sharpen my skills with it. So, I mean, Kobe was a huge influence on me, especially with coach. I didn't know, like, after, Kobe was like a hard teammate to play.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know that.
He probably wouldn't like our coaching style because we were more about,
more
unity and life. But he was about winning or, that Black Mamba mentality. But but when he passed away, man, that was so shocking. And then we got into 2020 and the world went upside down.
Yeah. That was hard. So tell me about the COVID period for you.
Oh man, changed my life for sure. So yeah, after I got back to normal after COVID, so I was working for this corporation. It was the biggest timeshare company in all of in the United States. So I was the life safety and security coordinator for their corporate headquarters in Orlando, right across from SeaWorld. So I was doing that corporate sort of security stuff, finding my way. Because, we went from here to there, from Tunis to Orlando is a big transition. So I was kind of finding my way in corporate world. And they paused. Well, the whole world paused, so including my organization. So when that happened, I can't be in that. I don't know how it was here, as far as restrictions.
Yes.
I was fortunate to be in Florida, which is pretty open. But in the beginning, it's like everything froze. Boom, I can't be in that. I can't just not be doing anything. So I started writing, and then I got some consulting work, and then so I kept. People would reach out to me like physical security companies for writing projects. I started writing for them. I'm like, hey, I love writing. I love security. This is something I can do, on the go from anywhere in the world. So I started building on that. So I launched my own company at Davis Security.
Oh, great.
So I pretty much help physical security companies.
Yeah.
And SaaS companies. I help them with their content, thought leadership. So basically, they're like, "Hey, you were a security guy. You got all this security experience. How can we communicate to them?" I don't know if you've ever read like a security article. So boring, dry. So I try to
put life into that.
Exactly. So it took off, and then I was like, I think once you get a taste of controlling your calendar, being a consultant, you're like, I'm not going back to that 9 to 5.
Exactly. That's
I
different.
think that's what COVID was. It was like a fork in the road. People that said, "Oh, I want to go back to work. I want to go back to an office. I want to go back to having a manager over my shoulder." Okay, go. And there were people that said, "You know what? This is a chance for me."
Exactly.
So I went that route. I went the route of having my own, and it's not easy, because you got to
that's challenging.
You're a one-man band.
Exactly.
But so I went that route, and that's what I've been doing from Orlando. I've been working with security companies, with their content, with their thought leadership, with their outreach.
Yeah.
And doing that now.
Oh, that's great. And I think I don't know if because I saw the picture where you had something with Disneyland.
Yeah.
So what was that about?
So I'm part of ACES, AIS, international.
Yeah. We got connected to that.
Because a quick side story with that. And here in Tunis, again, we need information so we can make changes to our security, right?
Exactly.
There was no information, right?
I do remember.
I was like, wait a minute. There are security people here, but they're not talking to each other. Oil companies, multinationals, embassies. So I said, hey, the school is a perfect place for us to sit down, talk about, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? So we started that security network here where people would come together and share information. Well, after the revolution, the whole Arab Spring thing, then we were allowed to have an organization. So the embassy did what's called OSAC, the Overseas Security Advisory Council.
Yeah.
And then they formalized the group that I made. They were like, hey, Dave, we heard that you have a lot of contacts with security. They're like, give us that. And with the help of Raj. You remember Raj?
Raj. I've been in touch with him 2 months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great. Because he was going to be in Orlando I think last week.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to do this. So we started that here. But we try to get ASIS to... for the members to join because they're a great international organization. So in Florida, I'm part of that too. And they organized a trip to the Walt Disney Security Operations Center.
Okay.
So you see Mickey Mouse all nice.
Yeah, exactly.
They do not play with security.
Really?
Man, they got state of the art things. They are like, you go there. If you go, I hope one day you come visit me in Orlando. You'll be my guest of honor.
Yeah, for sure.
If you come, you go to Disney World. We'll go there, and you'll feel there is magic. Like there is like, okay, everything is thought of to the T. Like even like you'll see a planter, you're like, wow, that planter is perfectly placed there. And that's throughout all their parks. And a big part of it is their security. So yeah, I got the opportunity to go to the operations center and have a tour. And it was really cool. I live in Orlando, so Orlando is like the center of the universe of Disney in Florida. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And I know you are really big about even the conceptualization of actually security. We know we had a lot of also training with the European Union. Remember when we gave
and that was like a workshop. I remember they said, "Hey, we never seen something like this."
Yeah, situational awareness, like everything. That presentation was really great. So, what is your conceptualization about security? What is security actually for you, and what people should learn about security?
Oh man, that's a great question. So yeah, I think that security it's an anchor. It's a bridge. A lot of times. So in one word, security. The purpose of security is to defend, deter, detect, and help an organization in their mission. Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, like security professionals, they want security means everything's locked down. No, you got to align to your organization.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, the concept of security is not just about, hardware. It's not just about cameras, metal detector, security guard. That's a part of it. But the real concept of security is supposed to be a vehicle for the organization to get where it needs to go.
Exactly.
So the role of the security director or the security leader is to understand their organization's goals and then align those concepts to the organization.
Yeah.
Not the other way around. I can't go to a school and say, listen, nobody can come in here. You got to fill out this form. I say, hey, what are you doing? We're trying to, like
make it easy.
Their logo is literally opening hearts, doors, and minds. And mine was closing hearts. So long story short, that's what I think I bring into security because, a lot of times because I was a former Marine.
Yeah.
I think
it plays a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would go to organizations and they always think that I'm going to take the hard line, that I'm going to be like, yeah, we should close this, but I'm like, no, what are you guys trying to accomplish? Okay, you're trying to teach, you're trying to connect with the community, you're trying to be a positive place. I got to adjust security so that you can do that.
Exactly.
And so, no, it doesn't make any sense if a parent comes to the school and they feel like they're going through the airport and they feel like they're not being, treated as with the respect
exactly
and the positivity that they deserve. So that's my whole thing. It's about aligning the principles of security, which I understand, with the organization.
Yeah, and I also think that when the securities are well conducted, people shouldn't see them everywhere.
Right. Yeah, when done right, you don't even. I'm a big fan and student of Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu, The Art of War, and he talks about that how the leader when he's leading, you almost don't even know who it is.
Exactly.
Because things are working and it's flowing, and so sort of that concept of thinking big picture, and not knowing that you don't need to win every battle. You don't need to, be this. Because like we were talking about earlier, like if with David Goggins, if you're going 125% every day, you're going to break.
Yeah,
I don't know how he doesn't break, but I guess except if you're David Goggins.
Except if you're David Goggins. And even, the funny things, something I also got to be more aware about is the fact, because most people don't understand that because security is not about control. And I think that's a misconception that many people do, that they think that security is about actually absolute control. and it's absolutely impossible to control every single outcome.
100%.
No, I do remember actually when we were actually I remember the day before we had actually in Tunis we had Hillary Clinton coming in Tunis.
Oh yes.
And the night before we were actually you, me, Raj, Dimitri, and we're talking about that, and some people were stressed, like, dude, in terms of security with all these people. And that's where I came to know that actually it's harder for the people who are supposed to protect.
Yes.
Because every people is just supposed to be in charge of his person.
Right.
And usually, and it means that that's not the safest place. If you are, let's say, in the public area, that's not the safest place to be around them, because if anything happens, they are not in charge of you. They are in charge of their person.
People. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
you see what I mean? So, so that's why actually from that experience, that moment, I really learned that absolute security is an illusion. And you need to know, you need to be smart enough to get people to be relaxed while at the same time be able to, let's say, be aware of the different outcome. Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, that goes to the saying that, the bad guy has to be right once.
Exactly.
You gotta be right 100% of the time.
Exactly. That's the thing.
So you're sort of on the defensive, and there is an element of illusion of it's sort of like what they call security theater.
Yeah.
Where you have to create an environment that it feels like you have more capabilities than you actually do have.
Exactly.
Because we're humans, right? Because that's the paradox. Because the politician, an executive protection, the VIP or the protectee or whatever, they want to have that contact. They need that contact.
Yeah.
They need that exposure, and then you're trying to minimize it. So of course, there's going to be vulnerability, right? So
Absolutely.
you have to create. You're right. You have to create that balance of illusion, effectiveness, and then allow them to do what they're trying to do. Like executive protection is so hard. I was fortunate to be as a Marine. I was part of the second Bush, and Bill Clinton's security detail. Actually, a funny story. One time, Bush was in Brussels when I was stationed in Switzerland, and they put me on his team. And so for the Super Bowl, I got to watch the Super Bowl in the limousine, the presidential limousine with the driver, and we were just watching the Super Bowl, and I was like, "Wow, this is kind of crazy that I'm in here." But yeah, even like the Secret Service, they will tell you that they can't mitigate every single.
Absolutely. That's
and it's like you have like this highly trained security professional. He's watching a garbage can. he got like, look, this is a vulnerability. Look over it. He's like, okay, and so it's very mundane, because you don't know where it's coming from. But at the end of the day, security is really a team effort. It's about community, because the more you're in touch with your community, with your environment, the lower the risks go.
Absolutely.
People say, "Oh, what if this happens? What if this happens?" Okay, let's look at the record. How many times has that incident happened? Once in 30 years. Okay, relax. We're gonna think about it, but we don't need to put all our resources on it. And that sort of thing. So it's also about resource planning and allocation. But it's not easy. It's not easy. There's a lot of, especially you got to know your personality, right?
Absolutely.
If you're a warrior, if you worry about things, like probably not the best career choice.
Yeah. And now, okay, how do you see the world with AI?
Oh man, AI. I think AI has changed the world completely, and that's crazy too, because when I did that shift into writing and sort of outreach with security companies, as I was doing so, a security company would reach out to me and say, "Hey, Dave, I want you to write for me an article about the challenges of security guards, of managing security guards." Oh, great. And I'll take my time and I'm like, yeah, and I remember a story and then they're like, "Man, that article was great. But you took like a week to write it. Like, we need this." So I was like, okay, I'll get a little faster. And so as I was trying to get fast, boom, ChatGPT. Like, this thing came out of nowhere. I don't know if you saw it. I did not see this coming.
I didn't see
like
it
you were
coming.
saying, I did not see. So boom. ChatGPT, whoa, what is this? So now I have to like learn this and
Yes.
change the world. So I see AI as having access to the most elite teacher ever known to man.
Absolutely.
So I use AI for everything to do with research, with sort of like the mundane things, the drafting, the ideation. But you know, as far as security, it's going to be all over physical security.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you know, it's there's no way around it. You know, there are people that are purists. They're like, no, I don't use AI. Like, okay,
Good luck with that.
you know, there's a guy with a horse. You know, when they made the car, he's like, no, I don't use a car. Like a guy, you know, with this lamp, he's like, I don't use electricity. So yeah, game changer, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a big game changer.
it's a whole podcast to itself. But
Exactly.
I think I was fortunate to be in the industry where I had to use it. You know what I mean? Because I think that if, for example, if if your job doesn't involve anything to do with AI, it's kind of hard. You work, you have your family, and then you gotta, let me learn about this AI. But if it's naturally blended in your field, then you're already playing with it, because that's the thing. AI is intuitive, so
absolutely,
you're kind of playing with it, and it's alive in a sense, because it's giving you the right feedback.
Yes, exactly, and I think also one key about what you do is the power of feedback. Power of feedback.
Because I saw like Jeff Booth. He's big into like Bitcoin, and he said the definition of intelligence is human error correction.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, wow,
that's beautiful.
That's a simple way to see it. It's kind of but error correction.
One thing which seemed actually extremely important to me is also to mention, because of your personality and your background, you also have a certain way. You are more, let's say, you are really a good company for your kids. Okay, so what did influence you in the way actually you raised them? Because I know you are really present actually with them, and you make sure to always actually.
Oh man, you're going to the heart, man. But how do you get these questions, man? Like you gotta. Yeah, well, like I'm a girl dad, so I got 3 girls.
Don't you miss to have a boy?
Yeah, no. You know what's funny? What's funny is like my wife, our first baby.
Yeah.
We go to the doctor, and the doctor tells us, it's a girl, and I was thinking, because I didn't think it was possible. I'm like, I can't have a girl, maybe. Like, that doesn't match. So once I got the first girl, I said, I wanted her to have a sister.
Yeah.
And then by the third, I was like, I already know. And Kobe, he had 3 girls.
Yeah,
exactly. A lot of
high performer.
They have girls. So I was like, it's an honor.
That's strange. Even Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. I saw there was like a list. I was like, yeah, that's why I did it. It was on purpose. So, I'm a girl dad, but really my dad, man. My dad, he was like, my dad was always present. He's showing love. Dominicans are very warm people. They live for their family. So having that influence too, was very powerful for me. So I always wanted to be like, and I wanted to be a dad that was active, that was a part of my kid's life, and so. I see it a lot like I'm coaching them, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm coaching my kids, I got to earn that by, spending time with them and keeping that. And they keep me young.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when we were coaching we were coaching high school, so we got to stay fit.
Yeah, exactly.
Their energy's like, shoo. So remember Josh?
They like to challenge you.
They like to challenge you. So you got to stay on your toes. It keeps you young. It keeps your high energy. So, I try to keep that at heart as I'm with my kids and being present. And, and the fact that, I have a multicultural family. My wife is Tunisian. I'm Dominican, American. So we have a lot of cultures. And so I was like, hey, it always leans more, I think, towards the wife side. So they're like, if you ask my kids, where are you from? They're going to say Tunisia because they were born here. And, so they identify more. So I got to be like, hey, you also got a little bit of merengue. We got in the States. So, that really drives me. And there's nothing better, man. There's nothing bigger for me than to be a part of my kid's life. And and to have that impact on them. Because it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
You also benefit from it too. You give that energy and they give you that love, and it just like, I think it's a win-win.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
It's
great.
a win-win, right?
Yeah.
If you're fortunate enough to be in that role. But, you know, it mainly goes back to my dad. You know, my dad was, you know, very simple, but, you know, he would get off work at 3:00. By 3:30, he's home because he knew his kids are going to be home,
Exactly.
helping them.
Oh, that's
You
beautiful.
know, so it was really that I guess planted the seeds. Sometimes you don't even know, like, why are you the way you are?
That's a good question.
It's like these seeds that were planted that, you know, they become trees, and you don't even know, you don't even remember why.
Exactly.
But then you look back like,
that was obvious because of that.
Like Steve Jobs says, you know, he says things make sense when looking backwards. You connect the dots. You say,
Exactly.
That's why that happened.
Yeah, this is one of the questions I keep asking myself recently in the past years. And I think the more we grow up, the more we become ourselves, and we learn to accept ourselves. Because this is really something I've been big into doing, especially recently.
Okay.
Like, because most of the things just I know, but this I already know that. But I think like I'm in different chapter, and this is just a chapter where now I'm going through the same thing, but without actually apologizing.
Oh.
Okay, you see what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, you don't apologize to be you.
Exactly.
Okay, and this is a part in your journey where you assume yourself.
That's beautiful.
And I think it's really important.
Right, because you feel like, okay, I put in the work, I got the feedback, and at some point you gotta like show it, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
just show it. Exactly.
This is who I am.
Yeah, because I think like at one point, people you just have to stop being questioned, because a lot of times, especially when you are different, people question your credential.
Right.
People question you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember here in Tunis, you know, I would go to security meetings, and I was young. You know, I was like, you know, I came here, I think in my early 30s. And so, you know, especially with Tunisians, you know, you got these senior guys with the gray mustache, and I wanted to be older, you know, because I'm like, I know what I'm talking about, but they would look at me like, hey, you're just a young kid. And, but yeah, it's like, you know, you want to say, hey, I know what I'm talking about. Here it is. At some point, you just got to let it go.
Yes, exactly. It was like same thing for me. Like actually most of the meeting you have with people actually older than you, and they just keep questioning, like, you know, how do you know all that? Actually, how old are you again? And how is it possible?
Right,
Exactly. They always throw a jab, and so whatever. And at one point she said, like, no. So that's why I was really glad when I started to have a beer, because you know, like, okay, at least they will respect me. I made it. They will respect me. I don't respect me.
That's why, you know, I really believe in the concept of shadowing.
Yeah.
You know, and mentorship. I think that you could learn more in a week, just seeing the day to day. You don't even have to like have direct access. But that's why I really like the when people share what they do. What's your daily routine like?
Exactly.
You know, like people like Tim Ferriss. You know, they put, this is my daily routine. Like, and then you start saying, well, he's just like me.
Exactly.
He wakes up, he has breakfast,
same thing.
and then
this is
look how he coordinates that, and look at, you know. So when you shadow, when you can see a blueprint, I think you can learn a lot more than by just like reading a book. Because that's, you know, when you're talking about being yourself, I think that's one of the things, like, we feel like we got to read. I got to be an expert in this topic. I got to be, for example, AI. Who is an expert? Nobody's an expert. We're learning. And
exactly. At the same moment now.
It's happening right now. And I think, for me, I know the boats that I've missed. You know, like, for example, Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
2017, I'm in a corporate office, and the maintenance guy, he's like really upset. I'm like, hey, what's wrong? You okay? He said, yeah, man, I just lost a bunch of money with Bitcoin. I'm
What's
like,
that?
What the heck is Bitcoin? And he's showing me Bitcoin was like, I don't know, it was very cheap.
Yeah.
Because now it's over $100,000. It was very, and he's like, yeah, I could have sold it here. And so he told me that at that moment about Bitcoin. So I saw it. I was like, oh, I missed that opportunity. You know, it was like at $3,000. I forgot. Exactly. It was like $5. It was under $10,000. Now it's at 100,000. So it's like about trusting your gut, where life is showing you, and following through. You know, with it.
Exactly. That's why there's so many stuff when I'm serious. Like, damn. Like, for example, even the podcast. I do remember exactly when we started talking about. Like, no many people were speaking about that. And then it was just like, damn. And then after it became big. And then you see, okay, this influencer becomes this.
And we're like, wow, we could have done way better.
Exactly.
But they actually did it.
Exactly. That's the difference between actually talking about and doing it. So I just say, you know what? Just do it. Just do it.
And that's the thing. Like, we want these golden times to come when things settle. It's never going to settle.
Exactly.
It never's going to. There's always something. There's either health, there's family, there's this. There's always something. So you might as well carve the time.
And just go for it.
Just go for it, you know?
Just go for it.
I mean, I think that's how I wanted it in Tunis, you know, because when I was a teenager, I just went for it.
Yeah.
Every time I hit it out the park, you know, I did something that worked out, it was like that.
Yeah.
It scared me a little and it excited me. And it's like, okay, I gotta go for it. It's like the universe saying, go that way. Because you're a little scared, rightfully, because you're like, you don't know. But also you're drawn to it. You know, that combination.
Absolutely. So we really, and that's why actually this is the moment of the journey where you just go for it. Just go for it. Because you learn to harvest your own power.
Right.
Okay. And learn to represent yourself.
That's what it is.
And this is really important. So, bro, what is the one, let's say, message you want actually first people to remember about you, and then we want to actually live in the world?
Yeah, well, I mean, my message in security, you know, I've been in security my whole life since I'm basically 18 years old. So that's a long time now. And so my message is about empowering. You know, I like my message about you taking ownership about your life, especially your security awareness, and knowing that you have to check that box. Once you participate in your own security, it opens up other doors for you. And you know, the way I tell my kids is like, a lot of times we're afraid of things because there's a gap in it's either in information, it's either in testing, it's either somebody you got to know. There's a gap. So closing that gap. So my message really is for people to close that gap through education. Now we got AI, we got the best teachers in the world at your fingertips, you know, to connection. Someone says, hey, I got a podcast, go, you know, if someone says, hey, read this book, try it out. So really close that gap between what you feel afraid of, what you want to accomplish, close it, know that it's been done before. If you want to do it, it's probably been done before. Get those models, get those blueprints, and go for it.
Okay. Thanks again, bro. Thanks. And hopefully we'll have you out for a second podcast. We definitely need to have a part 2.
For sure.
So where can people find you, and also people who need something about either security and people that are interested about what you are doing?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So you know, I'm pretty scattered throughout the internet, but the main handle I like to connect with people is on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Because that's like the networking platform. So you can find me Davis Security. If you just type Davis Security, or you just Google Davis Security, you'll find me.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Let's go.